You've probably seen their ads, right? The ones promising a revolution in how we send money. Well, today, we're going to look behind the curtain of the fintech company Wise. We're talking about the mission, the engine, and yeah, even the missteps of this global money mover.
But it really all starts with this simple question. When you send your money somewhere, do you really know what you're paying? This whole idea of transparency is right at the heart of the Wise story. It's literally what they built their entire brand on.
So Wise burst onto the scene with this incredibly powerful and clear mission, money without borders. They promised to make sending money across the world instant, super cheap, and this is the big one, totally transparent. They were taking direct aim at the sneaky hidden fees you'd get from old-school banks.
And they boiled this whole mission down into a tagline that is just razor sharp. It's pulled right from their annual report. Min fees, max ease, full speed. I mean, it's a promise that tells you exactly what to expect, and frankly, it sets a crazy high bar for them to meet.
Okay, so what's really clever here is how their product itself is part of the message. The app isn't just a tool, it's an argument. By showing you right there on the screen exactly what competitors like Instagram or Remitly are charging side by side, they're making a huge statement about transparency before you even hit send.
And that full speed promise, they are absolutely delivering. According to their own numbers, a whopping 65% of their transfers are now instant. And when they say instant, they mean it arrives in less than 20 seconds. That is just a massive leap forward. So what's the ultimate goal here? The big vision? They want to completely get rid of the headache of international finance. They want sending a bunch of money across the world to feel just as simple and immediate as firing off a quick email.
Now, having a great mission is one thing, but how do you actually pull it off on a global scale? For Wise, a huge part of the answer is how they've expanded, especially into the super fast-growing markets in the Asia-Pacific region.
Their game plan for Asia is honestly refreshingly simple. It's a two-pronged attack. First, they plant the Wise flag in new countries. And second, they dig in deeper in the places they already are by adding more services that actually solve local problems.
But here's the key. They are not trying to do it all by themselves. A massive part of their success is this thing they call the Wise platform. And as their Asia-Pacific GM, Samarth Bansal, puts it, they don't just partner with anybody. They look for banks and other fintechs that share that same core belief in instant, transparent, and cheap payments.
And this just shows you how well that strategy is working. They basically plug their technology into some of the biggest names in the region. We're talking major banks like Bank Mandiri in Indonesia, all the way to digital platforms like Tiger Brokers and Agoda. This lets them grow incredibly fast without having to build everything from the ground up.
But here's the thing. For a company that built its entire identity on being totally transparent, any crack in that foundation is a really serious problem. And in early 2025, a pretty big one appeared.
And this brings us right back to that core promise. Has Wise always managed to be as transparent as its marketing says it is? Well, according to one very important U.S. regulator, the answer was a firm no.
So, in January 2025, the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, stepped into the picture. Now, this is the federal agency whose entire job is to protect American consumers in the financial world, and they'd been taking a very close look at how Wise was doing business.
And the difference between what Wise promised and what the CFPB found, well, it couldn't be more stark. You have a brand built on total transparency, and the finding was that they misled customers on fees and disclosures. Ouch.
So what exactly did they do wrong? Well, the CFPB pointed to a few specific things. They found Wise sent out ads to U.S. customers about lower ATM fees that didn't actually apply to them. They also failed to properly show accurate fees and exchange rates in some cases. And they didn't give back fees on late transfers like they were supposed to by law.
And this wasn't just a slap on the wrist. The consequences were real. The CFPB ordered Wise to pay up a total of $2.5 million. Part of that was to pay back the customers who were harmed, and the rest was a civil penalty.
The director of the CFPB, Rohit Chopra, he did not hold back. He said that by deceiving customers, Wise wasn't just hurting people. It was giving itself an unfair advantage over its competitors. For a company that prides itself on being a fair disruptor, that's a direct hit to its identity.
So you might be wondering, how does a misstep like this even happen at a company that's all about transparency? To get it, you really have to appreciate the massive scale of the machine we're talking about. Wise is not some little startup anymore. It's a gigantic, publicly traded global corporation.
Just take a look at the revenue. In one fiscal year, 2025, the company pulled in £1.2 billion. That's a huge operation, moving billions of dollars from millions of customers. At that scale, even tiny little errors can have really big consequences.
And this whole thing is powered by a huge global team, over 6,500 employees, or wisers as they call themselves, from 124 different nationalities, all working in offices from Singapore to Austin. Just imagine trying to coordinate a team that big across that many different legal systems. It's a monumental job.
And as a big public company, they've got responsibilities way beyond just their finances. This table from their annual report is a perfect example. They have to track and report their global carbon emissions. It just highlights the incredible layers of complexity and regulation they have to deal with every single day.
So, where does all of this leave Wise? Well, moving forward, it really seems like their biggest challenge is going to be a very delicate balancing act.
This right here is the central problem for Wise, and honestly, for any global fintech. They have to deal with this constantly changing web of international rules, all while trying to grow, trying to innovate, and, most important of all, maintaining the customer trust that they built their entire brand on.
Which leaves us with one final big question to think about. In an industry that is built on trust and defined by rules, what is the real price a company pays for trying to move as fast as an email?